Right now, the latest edition of Danny and Friends, the latest friend to join the show. Danny Marang over there, finally getting into the NBA Finals. Game 1 is tonight. Right now, the Thunder are favored by 9.5 in that one. If you want to text in your predictions for who will win the finals, you can text us in at 503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. And there's been a lot of talk, Danny, from people that you and I both probably agree on, don't actually like basketball. Or don't like basketball in the way that they claim they do. Because instead of starting off talking about how this is going to be a fun series, the Thunder want to run, the Pacers want to run. You have two young stars in SGA and Halliburton. SGA is the MVP of the league, right? You have two teams that have built their championship contending teams in a different way than we've seen before. They have one superstar, and then they have a bunch of really good young players around them, built on defense, instead of seeing, big twos, big threes, big fours of the past. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that you have the next evolution of what the NBA is going to be. Yet, we're talking about TV ratings.
Throughout, really, since we knew what the finals were going to be, I have made the call for, please, for the love of God, do not talk about small markets. Do not talk about TV ratings. Do not talk about the stuff that you want to talk about because you can't talk about the game. And it's driven me absolutely nuts. I love Trey Wingo. And what he was when he was a part of SportsCenter and how big of a deal he was in that era.
Right.
But he had a tweet in response to Adam Silver, his comments on if we're going to a Super Bowl and it was Packers Steelers, you guys would celebrate that. And they were comparing the whole idea of like the market size doesn't matter. In the NFL, the market size does not matter because the NFL has done the right thing for years and they've built up teams regardless. Two of the best brands in the entire league are the Steelers and the Packers. The Packers,
right?
Green Bay, Wisconsin, I think the population is 55,000.
Yeah.
I believe it's the smallest city.
That would be half of Hillsboro.
Yeah, I believe it's the
tiny.
smallest city in all of the top 4 professional sports.
It has to be, unless maybe like a Winnipeg, maybe.
No, Winnipeg's huge.
So then it has to be.
Yeah,
that.
Winnipeg's like the 4th biggest city in Canada.
Canada's small.
I mean, it's 40 million people, but yeah, but I mean, it's
right.
I spent a bunch of time in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a big city.
You're 100% right. It's Green Bay. Green Bay is the smallest market in all of the markets with a Big 4 team.
Population of Winnipeg 783,000.
Yeah, Winnipeg's a big city
as of 2022.
Yeah,
that's smaller than here, isn't it?
It's about the size of here.
Slightly.
Portland metropolitan area
like
is what like 1.2.
I think Portland, the city.
I think if you're including the burbs.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
All right, I will brush up on my populations of big cities.
No, Winnipeg's a very international city. It's a big city.
Yes.
But like I don't care about market size. I have never once looked at a single game and been like, oh, the ratings of this is not going to be good, so I'm not going to watch. No, there's so many freaking storylines coming out of this. You've got a brand new MVP. You've got another star on the rise. Mm-hmm. You've got a guy in Pascal Siakam looking to win another title. You got a coach in Rick Carlisle who can join the club, become the 4th coach in NBA history to win a title with multiple teams. And if he somehow managed to win this title, should be looked at as one of the best coaches the league has ever seen because he would have manufactured 2 of the biggest upsets we've ever seen, with the Mavs knocking off the Heatles and the Pacers knocking off what is historically a fantastic team in a season from this Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, you look at the analytics behind it.
Right.
The number of things that you're looking at here, you can go a million different ways. This is what Trey Wingo said. This is such an obvious obfuscation. Yeah, we don't care who plays in the Super Bowl because we're addicted to football. We didn't feel the same about the NBA. It's simply math. So it does matter who plays in the NBA Finals. You're telling me you don't care about basketball, and that's fine. And here's where the NBA has gotten it wrong. They have tried to be the NFL. You will never, ever, ever, ever get to that size. Not in this country. Now, in the world game, yeah, basketball laps.
It's only
football.
Probably soccer and rugby, maybe
it's
that
just,
past basketball.
It's just soccer.
It's just soccer.
It's just soccer.
Because and I just read the Hakeem book by Miran Fader. Fantastic book. And in it, it talks about how Hakeem learned to play basketball and basically the beginning stages of what has become an international basketball.
Yes.
And that's only going to continue to grow as you see more of the success from shoe sales for guys like LeBron. Obviously, Jordan started it.
But the international, it really starts with the Dream Team.
Yes, 100%.
That's
the game is growing.
It exploded in '92. And I mean, who are the best players in the NBA right now?
Right, they're all foreign players.
All of them.
Your top 5, probably by the time you get to 5th is where you're going to hit your first American, depending on if you prefer Tatum or Gordon. But you're going SGA, Canadian. You're going Jokic, European. You're going Doncic, European. There's an argument. Giannis. There's an argument to be made that within 2 or 3 years, Wemby's going to be up there, right? Like, we're not that far off. And I think that's also why you see the laziness of who's the face of the game, right?
Because you can talk about that and kind of throw out whatever platitudes or takes you want to talk about, as opposed to I was listening to Caitlin Cooper. She was on with Zach Lowe, and I will plug her work all the time because she's one of the best and brightest that there is in this game. And she was talking about how Tyrese Halliburton is one of the best at finding the skip pass to the corner, and the Oklahoma City Thunder allow the most corner threes in the playoffs this year because they pack the paint so much. And the Pacers are taking and making more corner threes than anyone. So is that something that Oklahoma City Thunder, are they going to have to try to change their defense around to not be so paint packing oriented? Because the teams that they have played in, the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're not the best shooting teams either in volume or in accuracy. Because remember, the Timberwolves couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from 3 for so long.
Other than game 3, they were horrible from deep. Horrible. And that's why they won that game.
And the Nuggets are a team that, while they're accurate, their volume, I believe they were 29th or 30th in volume. Now, the Pacers are a team that are, this is where you can get into the argument stuff. Are they due for regression? Because they're the best shooting team in the playoffs, hands down.
Right.
Effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage. They're the best shooting team in the playoffs. They're also the best corner 3-point shooting team in the playoffs. And you have these unique matches and cross matches where, SGA and Halliburton aren't going to guard each other. Now, they might get cross matched each other or back on each other because of some other matches. But you've got Lou Dort, who's going to sit there and put his big tank butt on Tyrese Halliburton. And then it's going to be Alex Caruso. And then it's going to be Cason Wallace. And you just kind of go through all the different things. Are the Thunder going to play with 2 bigs? Are they going to play with 1 big? How are they going to handle Pascal Siakam? How are they going to handle, are they going to sag off other guys and make them become scorers? Like, there's so many different things where this is why I've talked about the coverage of the game, like just using ESPN as the monolith.
Well, they're
here.
just the worst at it.
They are. That's why they're going to lose. That's why they're losing so much of the coverage going forward.
Because they don't give their analysts time to talk about the game. Like, you just went on a 3-minute, I don't want to call it a rant because that's the wrong thing, but let's go with a monologue.
Yeah.
You went on a 3-minute monologue where I learned about 3 or 4 different things that I didn't know, but that matched up with reasons why, hey, the Pacers might play this game close, or hey, OKC is good at defense. Where's the weak point for them where the Pacers can match up with it? And the problem is that the analysts are either choosing not to in certain cases and are just attacking it as a rating standpoint, or what they're doing is they're not given the time to let it breathe, to go and have the conversation that needs to be had about how these matchups can be exploited. Where do you play a Caruso? How do you use his minutes? How does Nesmith's ankle injury, how is that going to affect him, right? He was the difference maker early on in that Knicks series, and you saw once he hurt his ankle, Brunson was able to get more of his shots in the spots that he liked. Now, Nembhard came up big in game 5 or game 6, whatever that game 6 was where they finished him off. And so what changed in Nembhard's game? These are the conversations that I want to have. I want to have an excitement when it comes to talking about basketball.
Not because who cares about what markets we're playing in.
Right. Because if that's what you care about, then you don't like the sport.
Exactly.
And don't say that you do.
And just say you're a casual NBA fan and like you're just not that interested.
See, and I don't think a casual NBA fan is a fair thing there because I would largely consider myself a football guy. That's the sport I grew up playing. I wasn't very good. Didn't make it past freshman year. Well, shoot, didn't make it past 8th grade year of basketball. Ironically, too short. But I enjoyed the game enough, right? And I like watching it. And what I found in the postseason, and I've had my complaints about regular season basketball, but in the postseason, it's played in a fun way. It's played in a fun style.
Mhm.
The games are fast. There aren't very many blowouts. And when they are, it's because a team is doing one thing or two things so well that they're exploiting that it's just fun to watch. Minnesota blew out OKC in game 3 in
Because
Minnesota.
they were hitting everything.
I couldn't take my eyes off Anthony Edwards. There was a play where he had 4 guys on him, and there was no reason for him to shoot the ball, yet he was in such a zone that he wasn't going to stop.
Didn't matter. And that's the thing is like, I brought this up. God only knows how many times. Chris Vernon, who covers the Memphis Grizzlies, does Memphis radio.
He's great.
I love
Great.
Verno. He does the Masters check-in every year. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. It's an absolute blast. But he's a huge Grizzlies guy through and through, and he has this anecdote of the great thing about the NBA and basketball is it doesn't matter what night it is, what game it is, whether it's regular season, whether it's playoffs. You have a chance every single night to see something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
You have a chance to see a player go absolutely crazy or a player to absolutely choke a game away in a fashion that you just cannot fathom.
Mm-hmm.
You can see greatness in both defeat and in victory. And it's just, there's so many things that locally, the Blazers are playing a Rockets team that's not that good in, Dame's final year, and he goes for 71 in a regular season game. And you're just sitting there going, I will remember that game for the rest of my life because I've never seen somebody score 70 points in a game in front of me and then go talk to that guy after the game. And the first thing he tells me is I should have had 90.
Right. And you can largely believe him.
It was
right?
just, it's
like you just can't. There's going to be something that happens in this series.
Even
that's
if it's
amazing.
a blowout. Let's say that the Thunder win in 5.
I think there's a chance that the Thunder win in 5 and every game is within 8 points.
And is that a bad series? No, it's
absolutely not.
It's just the whole way the NBA is marketed and sold by its broadcast partners is absolute dog crap. That's the problem. There's not enough storylines. There's not enough things here. I didn't have to dig that far to find very good storylines that aren't. Is Tyrese Halliburton a superstar? Or do we need to get Halliburton out of Indiana because he needs to go to a bigger market? Like, that's the shtick that they go to because that's the crap that sticks to the wall.
Right.
And it's so frustrating when you watch NFL Live and you watch Orlovsky up there and you watch Spears and you watch these guys dive into stuff that matters day in, day out when there isn't games on during the week.
Right. And they do a fantastic job, Mina Kimes as well.
Yes.
And basketball needs to be covered that way. So let's do that. We're going to take a break, and we're diving in to Game 1. Can the Pacers win? Here on 1080 The Fan, Danny and Friends edition. Will Ortner here for a Danny and Friends edition, the latest friend to join the program. There's going to be a couple other friends still going. Don't want to ruin the surprise on who they will be. We've been talking Thunder and Pacers. Game 1 tonight. Right now, the Thunder, heavy favorites. They're minus 9.5 to win this game. Right now, they're minus 700, I believe, to win the entire series. Everyone seems to be doing the gentleman's sweep conversation. Danny, give me a reason why the Pacers can play with this Thunder team.
Because they're so versatile. Yes, they want to play with pace. They want to play with frenzy and freneticness and be disruptive. I mentioned this, I want to say, earlier this week when we kind of knew what the matchup was going to be. One of the things that the Pacers are really kind of proud of is not the pace they play with on offense in the sense of like how many possessions they get, but how fast they get across half court and get into their sets.
Right.
Like the number of times that they get into their stuff with 21 seconds or more on the clock is astronomical.
Yeah, it's not quite Phoenix Suns,
it's
Nash,
it's faster.
But it's faster.
It's faster.
Really.
They're actually faster than them because they play so well out of dead balls, like on made baskets. Like
I see.
It's one thing to play fast when on a missed shot because that's you've got imbalances around the floor. But I mentioned this the other day, but I think it's worth mentioning again. One of the things the Pacers really do very well is that, and gets into the weeds, and this is the kind of things I think should be talked about more. And when you're talking about like national discussion, and when you're talking about when Tim Legler gets up on the whiteboard, this is kind of one of those things that he highlights.
I got one here for you if
there
you
go.
need it.
So think about floor spacing in general. Even if you're talking about the Thunder who play somewhat of a 5-out, but when Hartenstein's off the floor, because Holmgren can stretch the floor. So you basically have some version of 4 guards and then Holmgren. So SGA is a guy that yes, the free throw merchant stuff, I don't care about that. But what he does is he puts a ton of rim pressure on you, but not in the traditional sense. He doesn't often get all the way to the rim. He's very good in the short paint.
Right.
The mid-range pull-up, 10 to 4 foot range.
It's a methodical nature, not attacking the rim with complete unabandon, right? It's more well thought out.
And it does put you in a bit of a bind because let's use the Blazers so you have a frame of reference. When Donovan Clingan's on the floor, more often than not, they're not going to put him in coverages where he's going to switch. Now, he does every now and then, but they're going to put him in a more traditional drop coverage to be kind of the lone rim protector. And when you're in drop coverage, you're kind of playing center field in the middle of the paint. Well, with SGA, he doesn't go all the way to the rim. And when he doesn't get all the way to the rim, you get this thing where your big is kind of caught in no man's land and you step up, and that allows room for guys working in the dunker spot and things like that. But when they flatten all the way out and your guard gets all the way at the rim and your big is in the corner and the Thunder, or let's use the Thunder, they score, the Pacers are already going the other way as the ball is going through the rim. And now your lead defender, usually your point guard, has to get all the way back 60 feet to be able to try to stop that. And your rim protector's in the corner. He's got to go 90 feet to go meet Obi Toppin or Pascal Siakam. Good luck.
Have fun. Well, and a lot of times you saw against the Knicks, it was Siakam who was the one who was getting out quick. And Obi Toppin, when he comes in for Siakam, he's the other one. 2 large individuals who can attack and get to the rim.
Get downhill, super physical, great rim finishers.
But especially with Pascal Siakam, more so in this case than Obi Toppin, he can pull up.
Yep.
Right? Like if he sees, hey, it's better for me at the mid-range, I'm going to pull up and take this shot.
Or now you get caught in cross matches because now Cason Wallace has got to fly back and he's up, 8 inches shorter than Pascal Siakam. Now he's going to take him in the mid post, and the Thunder are going to go, okay, we're over aggressive, so we're going to help. Now you skip past the Nembhard or Nesmith. He's wide open on the weak side for a 3. Or now you've got Halliburton coming off of a flare off a pin down, and now you just kind of put a team in binds. Like the Pacers are going to have to win on the margins because the Thunder are so good. But there is a path. It's just a very, very narrow one.
Right, and it's going to have to be used, no pun intended again, they're going to have to use a lot of pace. In classic fan host fashion, I'm already off the